Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm here with Ivy George and Ms. Christine Bocage, and we're talking about the National Strategy for the Prevention of Non-Communicable Chronic Diseases. Ms. Bocage is with the Caribbean Public Health Agency, and she's here in the BVI to assist us in planning the way forward for lifestyle change, behavior modification. But we need to start looking at the way we behave and the foods that we eat and our sedentary lifestyle, watching TV day and night, and not exercising, and being overweight, and attacking our liver and our kidneys, and we just acting a mess, really. But we left off talking about changing behavior, giving out information, knowing that we do have to give out information. But it has been said over and over again, and many examples have been drawn. Cigarette smoking is one example that people use a lot. Everybody knows that cigarette smoking causes cancer, and still 25% or 30% of the American population still smokes. HIV, everybody knows if you practice on safe sex, HIV is a debilitating disease that can cause, it used to be death at one point. Now it causes all kind of family disruptions and social disruptions. But still, we practice on safe sex. And when you take the teenage pregnancies and people getting pregnant, unwanted pregnancies, you see that the unsafe sex manifests in those statistics. How are we going to get people to change their lifestyle, and what I want to ask you, Ms. Bocage, what resources you think we are going to need in order to really affect the kind of change that we need to affect, not that we want to affect, that we have to affect in order for our economy to be sustainable, because the healthcare is sucking the blood out of the economy.
Well, I'm glad you asked about the resources, and that is one of the main benefits of having these multidisciplinary teams and committees working together, so that you don't utilize resources for the same things in different sectors. So you can actually save money by working together, so that education, health, the Ministry of your sports department, and so can work together using the same funds to do something. We also need to focus on marketing some of the things that we would like to see happen. We need to put across to the population in a way that they would understand the impact of their behaviors. I think a lot of people know this is good for them, and they shouldn't do it, but they still do it because I don't think deep down they understand the effect. So for instance, the same initiative that we're going to revamp, Project Lifestyle, I did it in a few countries, and we had a questionnaire for the children, and we asked them about whether they like to have something. Do you like to eat, for instance, foods high in salts? Or is it good for you? They will say no, but a lot of them will say they still have it, okay, because it tastes good or whatever. So they know, but they're not doing it. So I think we really need to link that kind of knowledge to what you can develop even now, not just later in life, because we're seeing that some of the NCDs are hitting children at 10 and 14 years. For instance, diabetes, we are seeing type 2 diabetes in 10-year-olds and 14-year-olds, and sometimes even younger children. So I think the way we put across the impact of what we do is very critical. But respect to resources, I really feel we'll be saving resources by working together.
Now, say like you mentioned places like Barbados, for example. Do you have any idea of what their budget is like regarding publications and Project Lifestyle and changes of that nature?
No, I don't have that sort of information.
Because I'm getting the sense that as a government and as a people, we're not aware of what it's going to take. I don't know if we understand the magnitude, and perhaps it needs to be impressed upon us more what we are going to be doing, what is going to happen.
But
And-
if I can comment here, it's just like a business and marketing, you know. The thing is, your initial cost will be high, but as you go along the road, it becomes less. So when we embark on this health promoting aspect and promoting wellness, of course you will have to have some investment there, but at the end of the day, less persons will become sick and end up in the hospital and have amputations and so on. So you wouldn't see it tomorrow, because
Yes.
behaviors take a long time to develop and an even longer time to change. So you're going to invest in your school activities, your school initiatives, you're going to invest in workplace wellness things, you're going to invest in your community things. They're going to cost you initially. So this stage for the BVI is going to cost you a bit. We're probably talking about grant funding and all those kinds of things, government funding to show that we really have that support and the sustainability as well. But at the end of the day, when teachers start teaching these behavioral lessons and they continue and they do something with health and family life education, everything will be so natural and smooth that we wouldn't have to be expending a lot of money to do these kinds of things. So that's how I look at it.
Okay.
Yes, and I think that's very important, because like I really feel that at this particular time we do need to invest some funding, and I'm saying it's an investment that you're going to see return down the road, because our aim is to really improve health across the life cycle, so that at every stage, even down to old age, that people have a certain quality of life. And you know, I'm saying, so we get away from the idea that as you get older, you're going into sickness
It's
and
like you're supposed to get
disease.
sick because
Yes,
you're old.
Yes.
Yes. Mhm.
And what I'm saying, though, we have to start from very early to start, and we have a culture of sickness and disease. So we really talking about moving upstream and rethinking the way that we think about life. And even to, like I'm saying, a lot of time the public sector would give money to the hospital to buy a piece of equipment, or they might give something to a group to do a walk and so on. And I guess you see your name out there, but what I'm saying, what we are doing now, and we are going to need partnership in order to get it done. We are saying you're investing in your future. We are talking about nation building. And I'm saying unless we make some drastic changes, we are, when I look at it, these diseases, 80% of them are preventable.
Yes.
So we have to really do, if they're preventable, and I'm saying we are a small country and other places have done it, we can do it too, but I'm saying we have to be willing to make the sacrifice and to make, to really put some funding, put some effort, come together as a community and begin to work together to begin to bring about change. There are a number of places where they have done this, and you can see the result now.
Yes, I think having the private sector and the NGOs and the community-based organizations playing a part and, supporting, we also need that support from on top. You really need policy. In the Caribbean, in the world, you don't get things happening unless it's mandatory. So once we have policies in place, and they don't have to be major policies, could be just simple guidelines. So I think along with all of these initiatives, we need to make sure that the background and it's all ingrained policy, and we have that support from the senior officials and the government, so that we can move forward. Because you can do all the things you want, work with all these partners, but if it's not policy, it would not be sustainable.
You satisfied that you're getting the support of the representatives, and that they understand what we are backing on here, and they're willing to make the contributions to see it manifest or bear fruit?
Well, I think they're getting it. I can't say that I am satisfied with the level of resource support as yet, but we have been able to get some resources, a lot of it through grants and so forth. But I'm hoping that, again, too, by coming together and by working together, it means that government, some of the ministers might have to say, I might have to give up something in order for this particular thing to happen, because in the next 5 years, this will bear fruit, and I will then have more funding available to me. That is what it's going to take. People coming to the table and saying not what I might want, but what is best for the country at this particular time.
Okay. I think we found on the turning the clock. If you have any something I forgot to ask or something that you want to get out.
Well, I just want to really thank all the various people in the community, the various agencies, the government, especially the CMO, the permanent secretary and the minister for their support. And I think that we are on to something good, and I would like for us, I just ask people to give us a little more time. I know people might feel we are not doing anything, but I'm saying when you are rolling out, to me, the important thing is to build a good foundation. Once you have a solid foundation, then you could always build on that. And I feel that this is where I need to put my energy into building the foundation, because other people can then build on a good foundation. And so I think that is important. I would like to encourage the people on Virgin Gorda to come out on Saturday afternoon at 4:30 for your relaunch of the Health Promotion Council there. And I just want to encourage all the communities where we have councils. We are inviting people to find out about these councils, become a part, and find out what you can do to help improve your community.
Yeah. And I'm inviting you back so you could give an update on what you have done so far, because you've done a tremendous amount of work. For those persons who may think that enough is not being done, you've done a tremendous amount of work. I know personally the work that you're doing, and we need to update the public on where we are right now in that strategy, and we're going to make arrangements for you to do that.
Thank you.
Yes, and Sister Bokaj, thank you very much for coming to assist us and for coming on Spotlight. It's a real pleasure to have you, and the information that you have to give us, we really appreciate it.
Thank you. We feel very privileged, CARFA, to be part of this process. So I'd like to thank the government very much for inviting us to come and assist in some of the areas.
Yes.
Okay.
You can't say I didn't tell you so. A few weeks ago, it was New Year's. Right after that, it was Valentine's Day. Next week, the spotlight will shine on Easter celebrations on Virgin Gorda. The Miss Gorgeous and Miss Easter Festival contestants are going to be here displaying their beauty, their charm, and their intellect. Be sure that you're here. Spotlight is seen Tuesdays at 8 p.m. here on JTV Channel 55, and rebroadcast Sundays at 2:30 p.m. You can view us. You can view all the spotlights on jtvlive.net, the ones that you've missed or ones you want to catch up on. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your words of encouragement. Continue to email me at jtvspotlight@yahoo.com. I'm Edjuenka, reminding you that when the spotlight is on, you see the facts. Peace and blessings.
Spotlight is brought to you by Tortola Concrete Limited and H. Labadee Stout Community College.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm here with Miss Ivy George. She is the coordinator for health promotion services and the national and non-communicable chronic disease national focal point with the Ministry of Health and Social Development. And Ms. Christine Bokaj, she's a senior technical officer for food security and nutrition surveillance, disease prevention and control for Caribbean Public Health Agency. And there's a lot of information that we're going to be bringing out tonight. As I said earlier in the program, 47% of Virgin Islanders have a chronic disease. Dialysis alone is costing us about $250,000 a month. We are spending about $40 million just in the public health sector alone for healthcare services, and I haven't included the private sector. So if you add everything together, we might be around close to $100 million, and most of that money is leaving the country in terms of equipment, pharmaceuticals, and so on. We definitely cannot continue on their road. And of course, the government, under the direction and the coordination of Sister Ivy George, has created a national strategy for the prevention and control of non-communicable chronic diseases. And we're going to talk about the role of Ms. Bakaj in helping us along with that. And I want to welcome you both to Spotlight.
Thank you.
for having us.
Good to see you. You're busy.
Yes.
You're busy. Your national strategy for the prevention and control of non-communicable chronic disease is lifting off, isn't it? How?
Yes, I am. I must say, thank God, it is finally getting there.
I don't know if we really, as Virgin Islanders, understand the magnitude of what you're doing. I was thinking about it, I think, yesterday while I was preparing for the show. I was thinking about it, and I was saying to myself, this is the biggest thing since the most important development in the territory since the curriculum reform project
Oh,
in education, you know.
yes.
Ms. Bakaj, welcome. I remember.
you.
How you liking the BVI?
Well, I like it here very much. I've been coming here since the 1990s, so
Okay.
I have history here. I like coming here, and it's a pleasure coming to work with the Ministry of Health and Education, and I'll be working with various other sectors when we get into some of the things that I'm here to assist with this week.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So Ivy, you were getting ready to say before I so rudely interrupted you.
Yes. Well, as you're aware, as you rightly said, Mr. Smith, that what we are trying to do, we are trying to move beyond sickness and disease. We are trying to do system change as well as individual change. We are using a population-based approach. We are using an all-of-government approach, an all-of-society approach. And these are new things in terms of we haven't done anything like this before. And to roll out some of what we need to do, we don't have the infrastructure. So we have to, before we could even get to some of what we need to do in that particular strategy, we are now trying to build capacity. Because one of the things that we are doing, we are using, number one, a social approach to health, which means we are looking at the social determinants, and we are saying that a number of the issues that we need to deal with actually don't fall under the purview of the Ministry of Health. So we are now identifying where they fall. We have built relationship, we have entered into partnership, and so now we are trying to strengthen those areas to be able to do what they need to do better.
So you're taking a more holistic approach
Yes.
to this strategy, because of course the infrastructure has got to be built by the Ministry of Communications and Works. The education has got to be done by the Ministry of Education.
Yes.
And the Ministry of Health has got to coordinate the whole thing, and the Ministry of Finance has got to pay for it. So it's not a one government agency or one government ministry that's going to be involved in this strategy. This has got to be the whole country, and I think you rightly said that.
Yes, and I must say that we have been having very good cooperation so far from government, from the various agencies. The last agency that we have brought on board is the Department of Labor. They have just come on because they are the ones who are going to be dealing with a lot of the things to do with the healthy workplace. So they are now just on board, and so we have just about, in terms of the government agency, we are just about now complete that particular roster of people who we needed. We will be rolling out in Virgin Gorda. We had 5 communities, so Virgin Gorda will be our 4th community. They are going to be launching on Saturday. And we have rolled out our National Health and Wellness Council. However, we have run into a couple of snags with that, and we need to do some revision. So we are in the process of doing that now. And once that is complete, we have now completed our framework, and so once that is in place, we will be ready to roll out exactly, this would now be the blueprint or the for what we are supposed to be doing going forward.
Okay. Ms. Bakaj, how are you here to help us?
Okay, well, what happened? The Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, works with its member states to deliver technical cooperation on areas of work that are within the country itself. So based on what Ivy is doing and spearheading, you find that, as she said, it's multifaceted, multidimensional. So it's not just going and do just infrastructure. You're looking at actually working with the children in the schools, you're looking at developing policies, developing guidelines, and so on. So I'm here to work in different areas that would assist the process. So for instance, we want to revamp a project that we had before. It's really an initiative. It was called Project Lifestyle in the past, where we looked at, am I eating right, am I weighing right, do I have a positive self-esteem, and so on and so forth. And we have since, we meaning the Caribbean Food and Nutrition Institute, just before we came into CARPHA, we developed a model, an intervention model that is a takeoff or an advancement of Project Lifestyle. So I'm here to discuss that with the committee, Ivy's committee, so we can see how best we can adapt it to the primary school and the secondary school, hopefully here. So that's one thing. The other thing we have to look at as well is, how are we feeding the children in schools? Do we have standards and regulations and so? So again, you already have the British Virgin Islands, you already have a draft of that kind of document. So I'm here to work to discuss how we can move that forward. The other thing we're looking at is food-based dietary guidelines, because we know nutrients, we know food groups, but at a certain level, the man on the street doesn't understand that when he's eating, he's not studying nutrients. He's not studying food groups most times. So what you want to do is to give them something that they can just choose foods without having that scientific knowledge behind it. So those are the kinds of things that I'm here to work on, plus the food and nutrition security policy, as well as pushing the baby-friendly hospital initiative. Because you know what is happening in the region. You spoke about the burden of the disease conditions in the BVI. What we're seeing now is an escalation of childhood obesity, not just in the region, but in the BVI as well. So what we want to do, we know that the way you feed your children in infancy has an effect on how they develop later on in life. So promoting, protecting, and supporting breastfeeding is an ideal way to ensure that children are fed properly. And the baby-friendly hospital initiative is one way of moving that forward. And of course, developing policies and so at a national and at a hospital level. So I'm here to actually discuss all of these things. We're not actually doing workshops and so as yet. It's just like fleshing it out to see how we can move forward so that we can deliver by the end of the year.
So getting it done on paper.
Yes, we are, having discussions, coming to consensus. Do we want it? Are we going to twist it? When are we going to start it? Which ones can do first?
So you have a plan?
Yes, so you have low-hanging fruits. You can do things right away, like the Baby-Friendly Hospital Initiative. We all, you can go with that. Some other things will take a little longer, So those are the kinds of discussions we're having this week.
And I remember Project Lifestyle, that was 19 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Those children are even finished with secondary school now.
I remember marching up Main Street with Philippa and with the T-shirt say Project Lifestyle.
Yes.
And we were on the move. And had we continued 19 years ago, we would have been way ahead now. But that's interesting how it takes that long. And I said that to say, it seems to me that do you think that we have grasped in the Virgin Islands, in the territory, and in the various ministries, not only the importance but the magnitude of what we're about to embark on?
Well, I don't know if Ivy wants to answer that question.
Well, like I said, let us say this is something that we have been working on for a long time, getting to where we are today. And I would say that this is, it's very encouraging that we, for example, have a committee called the Interdepartmental Committee on Health and Wellness, and that we can sit down once a month bring all of these various issues from the various subcommittees. They come and they will make presentation, we will go through, we will critique things, we will then make recommendation of how they should go forward, what needs to go to cabinet, who needs to be the person to advance it, which ministry, etc. But the Ministry of Health role is one of coordination and giving the support. So if there's something happening, like for example, we are right now wanting to do something with healthy spaces and healthy places. So we are now looking at trying to find who are the best people in the region or wherever they are to be able to help us with this particular activity. And so that's the Ministry of Health and has to do a lot of that type of background work. We thought because we are in health, we can then say what is the best practice, what is best, and we are making sure that what we are using is evidence-based. We, it's not what you feel like, it's what the evidence is saying today about that particular thing. And we are not about reinventing the wheel. If there's something out there that is good, and it's going to, we might have to tweak it a little bit, but we are going with it. And I'm also looking for the best of what is out there.
You think the public is buying in? Are we getting the public buy-in to the fact that their behavior, their choices, their lifestyle choices, whether it's the thoughts that they think, their belief systems, or the food that they eat, and the lack of activity that they engage in, is really what's causing the illness that we are suffering? Are we getting them to understand on that level, at that fundamental level, what the real causes of these illnesses are that they're experiencing, that's costing them so much money individually?
Well, I would say, because I've been in this area for quite a long time, and I would say that it's as much more, people are moving along, but what I'm also going to say is that the environment is also important. And so that is why, in addition to going after, for example, we are saying nation building by public policy, healthy lifestyle, and community participation. And so, yes, we're going to be doing things and trying to encourage people to do this, to do that, and so forth. We are trying, but also the public policy piece, which is where the government has to put a lot of their effort. That is also very, very important, because we are very good at starting things here. We have started a lot of stuff, but because there was no policy, there wasn't like a national plan of action that we haven't institutionalized these things. They fall on the wayside. I might do it because I feel like. Tomorrow another person come, they don't feel like it. They change it, they stop it. And so these are some of the kinds of things that we have to make sure don't happen. So we really want that whatever we are doing, number one, a lot of what we are doing, we are looking for stakeholder buy-in. We are looking for national consultation. We are making sure this is what is happening. Do you understand why it's important? And that is why the community committees are so important. And I really would like for people to really realize that this is an opportunity, because one of the things that we do not have is a institutionalized way for the community to be actively involved in what is really happening to them and with them. People prepare things for them, or what we are saying, no. We are using a bottom-up approach, and we want the people in the community to be actively involved, because that is the only way you're going to have sustainability, and you're going to be able to be empowered to be able to make some of the changes that you need to make.
Ms. Bokaja, are you, as part of your purpose assessment as well, are you doing any assessment, or are you just focusing on what exists and helping to push that forward?
In some aspects, depending on what we're talking about, there is an assessment. So for instance, with the Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative, there has to be a self-assessment with respect to where we are with respect to the 10 steps. So with respect to the Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative, there are 10 steps that UNICEF set out that you must fill. It's certification. Okay, so it means that you must meet those 10 steps before you can be certified as a baby-friendly hospital. And with that, you have to have a self-assessment and you check to see where you are with respect to the steps. If you have 4 out of the 10 steps, you indicate what needs to be done with the other 6 and you work towards that before you call in UNICEF for certification. So that's that kind of pre-assessment there. With respect to some of the other aspects, though, what we need is more like a situational analysis to find out what is the situation with respect to how we eat, where we get food, people's ability to buy food and so on, so that we can develop policies and programs to move so that people will not become food insecure and that kind of thing, and they'll be able to choose right foods. But I wanted to say something with respect to where, if people understand where they're at. It's not uncommon throughout the Caribbean that you will always find some people who just not aware at all that the way they eat, their inactivity has anything to do with the conditions that they may develop. And in addition to that, some of those who are aware of it, as Ivy said, if you don't have that supportive environment, they may want to choose healthily, but the things are not there for them to choose healthily, or the advertisement we see in the newspapers, on the televisions and so, are really driving people to purchase certain things. You know, now carbonated beverages, we're talking sugar, and we linking childhood obesity and a lot of obesity now with sugar and not just fat. So people need to be very conscious of the simple sugars that they're taking in and so on. And I think a lot of people not aware, I think it's hidden sugar. They're not seeing the sugars in the carbonated beverages, so they will drink it, it tastes good. You know, but when we show them physically how much sugar is in that bottle, then people start to get scared and so on.
There's
You know?
also the cost factor.
It's cheaper. It's cheap because they
Yes.
can produce it cheaply. So they are targeting a market of people that like the taste, and they can do it cheaply, so they'll be making a profit as well. So those are some of the things that we need to work with communities on.
Now, is any place else in the Caribbean embarking on the sort of strategy that we are embarking on here?
Oh yes.
Where are those things, and what successes is being had in those areas?
I wouldn't be able to give you the successes for certain countries. I know Barbados has Healthy Caribbean Coalition where they're dealing with communities and different things like that. But coming out of the UN high-level meeting on NCDs, a lot of countries were asked to develop what they call Partners Forum, which really is similar to what you all have here at the top, at the helm, which has various sectors, multidisciplinary. But on that Partners Forum, you also have manufacturers and distributors and other kinds of agencies and persons. So we have that in Trinidad and Tobago. There are very few countries with those, but they are things that are happening. And for instance, the one in Trinidad, they started to work with the manufacturers to see if they can reformulate some of the products. So there was a big seminar last year around this time, and the forum is continuing to work with them to see how best they can reformulate. And they're also going to do things like salt studies to see, you know, the extent to which people are consuming salt and so on.
What about information dissemination, the education process? Are you seeing that happening in these other regions, these other countries, and how is that being done?
Information is going out, but what is happening is that people get information, but they're not behaving in tandem with what they're receiving as good information. And this is the basis of the revamped Project Lifestyle I was talking about. The old version that we had was fine at the time, but the lessons were very didactic. What we're looking at now is having 4 components, and that first component with the teaching in the classroom is more behavioral. Children are learning skills and so on. They are being able to think critically and make decisions, and the lessons are done in such a way that they develop these things. And then we're looking at working with the parents and the communities, looking at the school environment, looking at promotional days where they can have clubs and so you're looking at an environment as well as giving knowledge. So again, yes, we have knowledge in all forms going out. We have posters, flyers, but some of these things I believe are not effective enough, because what we really need to do is instill a behavior and give people skills and support, have a supportive environment so they can make that change.
Okay, we're going to take a break for a word from our sponsors. When we come back, I want to pursue that perspective a little more in terms of our ability to change behavior and what the requirements of behavior change will be, not only for the region, but particularly for the BVI. Keep it locked right here to Spotlight. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the BVI Tourist Board, and CCT Global Communications.